Gina Marie, get back here. All rise for the greatest airport director in this century. Good job. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
We've heard that's what you're planning on doing.
Good morning. This is the Trade, Commerce, and Tourism Committee, Tuesday, the 24th of February, and I'm with Mr. Bonin of the Great 11th District, and Mr. Buscaino of the 15th.
Hey, back up.
Mr. Legislative Analyst, let's take up item number 1.
Thank you. Good morning. Item number 1, the Categorical Exemption and Board of Airport Commissioners report relative to the proposed First Amendment to the Terminal Commercial Management Concession Agreement with Westfield Concessions Management, LLC in the Tom Bradley International Terminal at LAX.
Thank you very much. I have 2 cards, which I'll call after the presentation of the CAO and the Department of Airports.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Bill Kreitz with the CAO's office. We have reviewed this, and given the delays in turning over the concession space by LAWA to Westfield and the additional costs that Westfield incurred as a result, we approve or recommend the department's resolution as being the most equitable resolution. So therefore, we recommend approval of the report.
Mark Adams, Los Angeles World Airports. You'll recall at your last meeting you approved a similar extension for DFS for the duty-free items at Bradley Terminal. This would be a similar extension for Westfield so that they would be able to recover from the delays that they were subjected to during the construction period.
Very good. Okay. So you recommend the department as well as CAO?
Yes, sir.
Members, any questions? I do have some public comment. Let's go to the public comment right now. Dale Cochran from the 4th District. Yes. Has a beautiful home and a beautiful neighborhood and has a nice councilman. Okay. Good to see you. Julie Jung and Seaman Stewart, excuse me. Thank you. Morning, excuse me, yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Simeon Stewart, and I'm with Palazzo Concessions, and we're an airport certified disadvantaged business enterprise. We're in partnership with the Hudson Group in the 19 stores that are in Tibbet. And I want to talk
just a correction.
Tom Bradley International Terminal.
Yeah, we don't say Tibbet, it's Tom Bradley International.
Sorry, Tom Bradley International Terminal. So what I would like to talk to you today about are the cost overruns that we had as a result of the new construction in the airport. There were over $9 million to our partnership alone, and it caused quite a bit of financial turmoil to us personally as ACDBEs. We have to now fulfill a capital call that was unanticipated. So $9 million is over 40% of our anticipated capital expenditure. Today you're going to consider an extension with Westfield. However, our partnership has not been granted anything. We have not talked about an extension. So what I'd like for you to consider is the impact that your decision may have on the small businesses that, for instance, I was born and raised in Los Angeles. This is my airport. I've been here for 51 years. So I'd like for you to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Julie Jun. My company is Madge Collection. We're a small retail manufacturer. I was given this opportunity with Hudson. It's my first experience with the airport. I had to get a private loan to be a part of this venture, and the $9 million overrun has put me in a really bad situation financially. And our term of the contract is 9 years. Now we're anticipating for us to break even at 8 years. So it just does not make sense for me. I don't know how I'm going to pay back my loan. We've been waiting over a year for a resolution with Westfield. I believe we were offered 2 years extension to our contract, but the 2 years still does not make sense for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And good morning, Mr. Labange. I'm a proud resident of the 4th District, as you know. I'm Dale Mason Cochran, president of Concourse Ventures, a 100% woman-owned business.
All right.
I started out as an ACDBE business operator some 18 years ago, and I have since grown over these years to move from the ACDB position to an equity partnership position. I had the wonderful opportunity of being a part of the LAX Tom Bradley renovation, spearheaded by the phenomenal Gina Marie Lindsay and her team, Steve Martin and Debbie Bowers, who really put a footprint on making this a world-class airport, which it is today. However, in the process of this build-out, as both Simeon and Julie have said, we've had cost overruns and CapEx that far exceeded anything that any of us could imagine. My role as a part of the venture, as an equity partner, was to identify smaller, local businesses that could come in and do business at LAX, bring new blood into the business. We found some wonderful people who have now extended themselves beyond belief in trying to meet the obligations. We want this to be a win-win for everybody, for LAWA, for Westfield, for the concessionaires, for the entire ACDBE team. As it stands now with our current lease, our businesses will be upside down for 8 of the 9 years of our lease. We need more term. So we certainly are happy about the extension for Westfield. We would like Westfield to give us consideration in extending our lease so that we're able to recoup our costs and have a successful business.
Thank you. Mr. Vine, any questions?
Yeah.
Did staff back up?
If staff can come back up, yeah.
Okay,
But
thank
thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have a card.
Did you fill out a card?
Sergeant, if you could help the gentleman.
So, as I understand this, there were delays, construction issues, and as a result, LAWA needs to give money to Westfield.
LAWA is extending,
Right.
yeah, extending Westfield's agreement in that way, yes.
At the same time, there was sort of a residual impact that trickled down and impacted the folks that we've just heard from today and the businesses that operate through arrangements with Westfield.
Yes.
What do we know about the negotiations that are happening with those folks who are just here?
That would be between Westfield and Hudson, and I believe Westfield is in the room.
Come on up.
Good morning.
Morning.
Dominic Lowe, Executive Vice President of Westfield.
So what's going on?
We have, for the last maybe 6 to 8 weeks, been negotiating with every concessionaire across that program. We have been very, very clear about the process or the methodology of calculating the cost overrun, the revenue impacts with each of those individual concessionaires. We spent a lot of time with the Los Angeles Airport working out a fair methodology that ensured that when we went out and started negotiating, that there was a fair methodology that could be defended, that wasn't making an advantage over one concessionaire to another. That's been clearly communicated on many occasions. I know I heard that there was a statement that said that we haven't reached out. We've been actively reaching out on a regular basis. We're actually waiting for responses from those concessionaires.
Question, I think, for LAWA. Do we have checks and balances in our agreement with Westfield that make sure that we have any ability to weigh in on whether or not we think the vendors have been dealt with properly?
In certain respects, yes. In the global context you're talking here, I believe we do, but again, this is an agreement that they need to, the vendors need to work at.
Is this something where LAWA is at all playing the role of fair broker?
I don't think we can broker the agreement between them. I think we can encourage everybody to work in the right direction, though.
Are we helping with that?
I think we are.
Good question.
Is there a city attorney here?
You just came in the door, so you don't know what we're doing, so I want to get briefed a little.
You familiar with the item we're talking about?
Good morning. Tim Daze, Assistant General Counsel for the Department of Airports. I heard your question, Councilman. I have to apologize. I haven't reviewed the concession agreement probably in 2 years. So I don't want to address your specific question because I don't think it'd be fair.
Okay, let me ask a different one then. Because I don't know that it applies so much to the concession agreement as it does to the action before us today. If the item moves for us today and then goes to council, does that lock in whatever the current arrangement is that Westfield has with the subcontractors, or can negotiations continue?
I would just be speculating, and I hate to do that, but my speculation is that whatever agreements that Westfield has with their tenants or subtenants, as you may call them, concessionaires, would be between Westfield and their concessionaires with regard to whatever agreements they have. Because my recollection is the department doesn't get involved in who or what terms that the concessionaires have specifically as to time compensation to Westfield and things like that. But I'm speculating. I hate to do this without reviewing the document.
Let me try one more question. I'm not sure if it's for you or for Mark or for anybody else at the table. If this is, as the witnesses have said, a matter of survival for some of these ACDBEs, one really complicated acronym, could this affect the airport's ability to meet its department goals or its federal mandates for future projects for minority business enterprise hiring and stuff?
You know, I would just totally speculate. I just do not know.
Anybody?
The ACDBE goals that are set up in the Westfield contract are an obligation, are Westfield's commitment to us. And if they lose, or if vendors, if their mix of partners changes, it might affect the numbers that we report to the federal government under the ACDBE program. But I'm not sure what that would, I'm not sure how that would affect necessarily the contract going forward.
This is a time-limited file, right?
Yes.
So if
Next
the
week.
council doesn't act by when?
Sometime next week.
If the council doesn't act by
4th of March.
March 4th, and it's deemed approved. There seems like there's a lot of unanswered questions, Mr. Chair, and it's a serious issue. I don't think it's something we want to hold up because Westfield's been left with a big hole as well. But there's a lot of legitimate concerns that have been raised by the small businesses that are there that need to be treated equitably. Would recommend maybe we move this forward to council without recommendation, and in the meantime, I'm happy to engage my office and LAWA and see if we can sort of help sort some of the stuff out before it comes to council.
I think that'd be a good thing, but let me hear from Mr. Buscaino.
I too am supportive and sensitive to the small business concerns before us, but my understanding, Mark, is that anything that comes before LAWA, the LAWA ultimately has to sign off on an agreement between Westfield and the concessionaires. Is that my understanding?
We have certain aspects that we do sign off. We don't sign off on all the terms necessarily, but we have certain aspects of the mix of vendors and such like that that we have to sign off with Westfield. But I can't.
So you do have to sign. LAWA does have to sign off.
We have to sign off on certain aspects of Westfield's relationships with their vendors.
What are those certain aspects?
I don't have that detail with me, but I'd be happy to provide that to your office.
I understand why you want to hold this, at least forward this without a recommendation, Mike, and I support that. I also know the importance of moving this forward as far as ensuring Westfield, who's asking for an extension, which I support as well, for their extension of the contract in order for them to recover their costs. And it would only make sense to have Westfield meet with the concessionaires to come to an agreement before ultimately it comes to council next week, and that's something that I would also encourage and support before it comes to council next week. So Mr. Chair, I agree with Mr. Bond in moving this without recommendation, and I think we all need to do our part to have these two entities or two companies come to an agreement.
Yeah, and also I think it would be good to know what the diversity is in the Tom Bradley International Airport. I'd hate to see us not have diversity because of whatever reasons there are. That's a very big value of Tom Bradley, and that should live on and on and on. So I thank Mr. Bonin's offer for his office and staff to help facilitate meetings, and then we'll send this forward to council and try to be able to act on it on the 4th, but we hope you're able to find some common ground or whatever the work is. You're in that business. That's your job. And so we hope you could do that.
And as much as it's a time-sensitive issue before us, I'm hoping that it's a priority for Westfield as well.
I'm sure it would be. I'm sure it would
move
be.
forward. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the intention isn't to not approve this. I want to make sure Westfield understands we still want to get this done. I just want to get some questions answered and see if there's anything we can do to facilitate the negotiations in the agreement before the 4th, so that we're not faced with a situation where our colleagues are hearing some of the same stories we heard today, which obviously would cause some alarm on their part as well. I want to see if we can wrap stuff up before them.
Be fair to everybody, but think outside the box of whatever the opportunities are, whether you're in the business. I'm sure this is not unusual, but make sure the city attorney's okay on it. Okay, move forward. We'll hold that. Thank you very much. The next item is we're going to jump to 3 for the harbor. We'll come back to the airport momentarily.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Blaine Said Wills with the CLA's office.
Oh, wait, one more. Hold on just a second. I'm sorry. Gregory Plummer, you want to just make your case, sit down and say hello?
Oh.
Excuse me.
Good morning, council members.
My
name is Gregory Plummer. I represent CMS Hospitality. We are a independent DBE company, and we are a prime contract holder with both LAWA and Westfield. Very happy to be here today in front of you all. Our company also has some overruns, but we come here today in support of Westfield and LAWA to move this forward, because we feel that this is the only way we can be made whole once you guys have taken care of our landlord, which is Westfield. Of course, we did have overruns of 3.5. We had overruns of $1.5 million in the project, but we are actively engaged in conversation with Westfield, and here to say that every member of LAWA executive team in Westfield have been very conscious of our communication to these efforts to make sure we're moving forward for us, and we come in support of this motion to move forward. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Plummer. Okay.
Mr. Chair, the CLA's office looked at number 3, and it could be approved with consent, if you would agree, if there are no comments or from the public.
So moved by Mr. Buscaino.
Item number 4 is next on the agenda. Harbor Department and Department of Water and Power reports relative to compliance with the city's environmentally preferable purchasing policy.
Ms. Carey, please.
Good morning, Tricia Carey. I'm the Director of Contracts and Purchasing for the Harbor Department. In 2008, prior to the city's adoption of an environmentally preferred purchasing policy, the Harbor Department actually implemented its own purchasing policy. Our EPP provides for researching and evaluating new environmentally preferred products. With the implementation of the EPP, our department established what we call a green team, which is comprised of various divisional staff that evaluate new products for cost, effectiveness, disposal requirements, and other environmental considerations. The EPP is actually a small component of our environmental management system, which provides various procedures for how the department procures, consumes, and disposes of items that we need to operate and maintain at the port. Now I'm just going to wing it. The EMS has received certification from ISO for the last 6 years, thank you, which is a certification given to agencies that attain the highest standards in operating in an environmentally preferred way. Under the EMS, we've implemented a composting program, a waste reduction, segregation, disposal, and recycling program for trash, recyclables, metal, green waste, and wood. We also have a vehicle policy where we only procure alternative fueled vehicles, such as CNG vehicles or electric vehicles. Some of our most common products that are used by our construction and maintenance staff, we've transitioned to recycled paper cups, environmentally friendly janitorial supplies and cleaning supplies. And recently we've undertaken several projects. I'm sure you're all familiar with our alternative maritime power projects that allow the vessels to plug into shore to reduce air emissions. We're currently updating all restrooms with air hand dryers, and we're reinstalling new water dispensers in our office buildings that allow employees or visitors to refill water bottles or containers. And lastly, something that DWP kind of championed in coordination with the proprietaries and GSD and sanitation. This Thursday, we're kicking off the new EPP vendor engagement program, where we quarterly bring in about 15 to 20 firms for them to give a pitch to their product, and then all the departments bring in their end users.
Got it. That's a good variety, good menu. Staff, anything briefly they want to add?
Mark Solachik from LA Water and Power. The only update from us is that we're moving forward. We have the policy adopted by our board last October. As a result, we've incorporated EPP training into all our contract administrator training. So there'll be over 500 people trained this year on EPP awareness. And it was mentioned by the port too, we have the vendor engagement program starting this Thursday. We hosted at DWP. We'll be looking at fleet supplies, custodial, and construction. And the last item, outside the scope of EPP to a certain extent, but we're looking at getting the John Ferraro building LEED certified by this summer. So we completed the certification process and we're submitting the application this month.
Okay.
Move approval.
No, I'm just about a second.
Oh, sorry.
Lisa Trifaletti on behalf of the Los Angeles World Airports. I have the role now over the last year of working with relaunching our sustainability program. And we actually have a very robust sustainability program. It's just we don't do a very good job in necessarily sharing our program and telling our story. We're proud that we just launched our recently a sustainability report that tells the story from 2011 to 2013. But I think what we want to share with you is that we have been submitting annual reports to the Bureau of Sanitation on our environmental purchasing program. We have a 10-year history of environmental and socially responsible products in our operations. We use recycled products, and we're performing activities to increase and maximize our purchasing. Since 1995, we have adopted a 10% pricing preference for bids on recycled products. In 2004 to 2007, we have our hand towels using 40% of post-consumer content. 2008, 30% of our post-consumer recycled paper for printers and copiers, and multi-fold paper towels and toilet rolls and seat covers. In 2014, 620 tons of paper used, 30% of recycled material. We have a 10%, we can do 30% recycled content for all of our plastic bags. We are growing the program. I can go on and on about these statistics. We are also forming a green team, and we have one of the greatest alternative fuel fleet than any other airport in the country. We have a robust recycling program in our construction program. And so what we're going to do is memorialize our really good practice in a policy to bring light to that. And when we have that policy adopted by our board, we'll come back to you. We'd love to share that with you.
Good. What I'd like to see is an artistic form in one of the halls, a picture of all that, what you mentioned.
Yep.
And then a picture of all that you saved because you do that. Some combination with some of the long walkways, hire an artist and create that image with, if you reduce, this is what you don't have to take away.
That's a wonderful idea.
Thank you. Thank you. Talibanj. Okay, and we got you, so we're good. Members, we're good all the way around. This is exciting. I know if Ruth Galanter was here, she'd be pounding. We want this done tomorrow, and I know if John Ferraro was here, he'd wonder if he still could have a cigar. God bless John. I wanted one thing for water and power. This is an old fountain in Griffith Park at Ferndale and Los Feliz. It should have a combination fountain. Okay, and if you leave your card with the clerk, I'll call you to make sure that we can get that done. Thank you, everybody. We'll move that forward.
And this item will be noted and filed, and now it's going to go to the Energy and Environment Committee.
Very good. Yeah, say it again. Okay, there are some cards. This is item number 4. Mr. Herman, run the clock.
Down to 1 minute?
1 minute,
Yeah, no, 2 minutes.
Okay, your clock says 1. Good morning, everyone. And we're talking about the Harbor Department of Water and Power reports relative to compliance with city's environmentally preferably purchasing policy. Well, as many of you have heard, the ports right now are still stuck on dumb, as I call it. But thanks to the mayor for not getting involved and leaving it all to Joe Busquiano to figure something out with the shore workers and also...
Please speak to the issue.
I am. Talking about the harbor. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're talking about...
Am I politically incorrect? Let me know.
Speak to the issue of what the statement is.
So am I politically correct? That was the question I asked.
You're wrong.
Good, because we're both wrong. So now, may I continue, sir?
You have this time left.
It don't bother me. It's only 2 minutes.
Okay.
It's just 2 minutes, sir. Okay. But when you violate my rights under the Brown Act to disrupt me in my 2 minutes of a public meeting, you're offensive. Like Joe Busquiano is offensive. Stick to the item now. So in reference to the Emergency Environmental Committee, I still find that the water and power reports are inaccurate, and I demand an audit on behalf of the public. And because Tom LaBonge is leaving this year, he has a sweet deal job going back to DWP to continue his harbor department and water and power bad management of unregulated fees. Am I still off topic? But let me continue since I'm down to 21 seconds now. So community impact statement, there was none submitted. All of you in public interest, don't forget that the elections are coming up March 3rd. Vote no on Jose Huizar. Vote yes for Gloria Molina. Vote no for, what's that gentleman's name? Cochran. Genocides. Thank you.
Sergeants, will you clear the room except for the staff of the city should be here for executive session on item 2.
Do it now. Mr. Chair, I will read the agenda item for the closed session now. Okay.
Can you read that?
He wants to wait till the sergeant.
But we have to do it on open session to read that.
Okay. I will read the item number 2. We will recess this regular meeting and go into closed session. Motion Bonin LaBonge relative to the progress of commitments agreed to in the 2006 settlement agreement with regard to Los Angeles, Ontario International Airport. This committee will recess to closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D1 in order to confer with legal counsel in relation to the case entitled City of Ontario, a Municipal Corporation Plaintiff versus City of LA, a Municipal Corporation, Los Angeles World Airports, Los Angeles Board of Airport Commissioners, Riverside County Superior Court case number RIC 1306498 regarding LA Ontario International Airport.
Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Yeah.